There we go. All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the February 23rd Town Council special meeting. I appreciate everybody's flexibility with not only having a special meeting, but also doing it on Zoom this evening. And before we get started, I just wanted to thank our entire Public Works Department, who I know has been working tirelessly today to try and clear the roads, and I'm sure we'll be at it again tomorrow. And I know we have snow call being called for multiple other days this week. So just wanted to say thank you to all of them before we get going. We will begin with a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Margaret, would you call the roll, please?
Mike Buswell,
Here.
Mary Isaac,
Here.
Stephen Spillane,
Here.
Bill Mecca,
Here.
Ann Sather,
Here.
Jennifer Winchell,
Here.
Christine L. Harris,
I'm here.
Richard Wolf,
Here.
Jason Marsh,
Here.
Anthony Dorsey, Ashley Gaudiano,
Here.
Carl Massaro,
Here.
John Foreman,
Here.
Thomas Broderick,
Here.
Matt Dunn,
Here.
Joy Cologne,
Here.
Brian Walsh,
Here.
Kelly Malazzi,
Here.
Tony Cinto. I saw him earlier. Tony,
Here.
thank you. Jared Ferrari,
Here.
Nicole Satin.
Here.
Thanks, Margaret. All right, we will start with public comment this evening. If anybody is interested in making a public comment, they can raise their hand and Bill will pull you in. All right, anyone for public comment? No takers. All right, we will continue on. Bill, it looks like Ray is in as an attendee and at some point will need to be pulled over.
Yeah, I asked. So
Okay.
they have to
Perfect.
click accept. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the resolution this evening is available to the public on the town's website. It was considered and acted upon by the Board of Finance at its February 12th, 2026 meeting and is before the town council tonight for review and action. Is there a motion and a second to read the title of the bond resolution in its entirety and to waive the reading of the remainder of the resolution, incorporating its full text into the minutes of this meeting?
So moved.
Thank you, Carl. And a second?
Second.
Jennifer? Just remember, because we're on Zoom, please come off mute and say your name when you're speaking this evening. Margaret, did you get the second?
Sorry, I keep forgetting to take myself off mute. Jennifer.
Okay, perfect. All right, can we pass that by unanimous consent?
No objection. No objection. Yeah.
Thank you. That passes. Councilman Marsh, would you read the resolution this evening?
Certainly. Resolution TC 31-26, resolution appropriating $710,000 for the planning, design, demolition, construction, renovation, equipping, and furnishing of a new Trumbull Veterans and First Responder Center and authorizing the issuance of $710,000 bonds of the town to meet said appropriation and pending the issuance thereof, the making of temporary borrowings for such purpose. Full resolution attached.
Thank you. And do I have a motion and a second that the resolution be adopted as introduced? Need a
I'll make a
motion?
motion. Nicole Satin.
Thank you. And a second?
Second, Joy Cologne.
Thank you very much. Now we can begin discussion on this. And again, I see Ray, I see you in as an attendee. Bill should have sent you a request that you'll need to accept in order to be moved over to speak. So I'll put that out. We'll see if we can get Mr. Baldwin moved over. And then in the meantime, we can start certainly with any questions, or if anyone who is on the panelist side from the Veterans Center Committee, if anybody would like to offer any comments about this resolution. And if everybody could just use the raise hand function tonight, it'll help make this a little smoother. Ray, I see that you've raised your hand on iPad 2. Looks like Bill is moving things over. Hang on one second.
I think I'm in now.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay.
Sorry, I hit the wrong button.
Oh, no.
Technology, we're a little out of practice at using Zoom.
Oh, I do this every night, but
No, the rest of us, Bill, not you.
all right, here we go.
Take two. Hey, Ray, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can. I have you now. I got you
Okay. How are you, Ray?
now. I'm well. How are you?
Good. Would you like to offer any comments before we jump into questions?
Well, I think everybody's familiar with the project, but why don't we just go to questions, and then I know that Dan Sacco is on, and the team that we have, our architect George Wiles, Jeff Anderson, and others on the committee that are on. So,
Sounds good. We'll jump into discussion. Does anybody on the council have questions? Councilman Satin.
Hi, Ray, thank you. I'd like to know a little bit more about the regional commitments. I know we're talking a lot about other surrounding towns using this building. And that's been a kind of a big piece of discussion here. So I'm not really understanding. Tell us, I guess, first, what commitments have been made to date and what we're waiting on from other towns to kind of add to the discussion here.
okay. Well, first of all, we've made no commitments to any other communities in terms of usage of the building. All right. What has happened over the last year or two is that the VFW post in Shelton, Monroe, Easton, and Reading have merged with the Trumbull post. So in that respect, there are 5 towns that are, or 5 VFW posts that are going to be part of the Trumbull post. And the commitment to the rest of the community will come from whatever programs our VFW decides to run in conjunction with the VA, with various organizations for the purposes of helping veterans re-enter into the community. So we have made no written or oral commitments of any other towns.
Councilman
I
Satin.
have been in discussions with elected officials from Trumbull and Monroe about making a contribution to the center, but those are just conversations we have had. Both of them have said that they'd be interested in a more robust discussion once they know the project is real and we're going forward with it.
Thank you.
Additional questions, comments? We'll go Councilman Massaro, then Councilman Marsh.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I'm happy to see that full funding finally will happen for the Veterans Center, which I've supported from first moment it was proposed. A little disappointed that the town had to put money in for its construction because it was originally presented that it wouldn't cost any Trumbull taxpayer dollars to build this, nor to run it in the future. My question is about the future. Once it's built, I want to be clear that this is town property, and I don't know that the relationship between the town and the veterans organizations has been cemented once the project is completed. Do we have any update on that?
There have been some discussions. Nothing has been finalized. I will say that Dan Sacco, who's the vice chairman of the committee, has done a remarkable job of selling sponsorships for the building and so forth. So he's built a reserve of $208,000 that's going to be used for operating expenses once the building is completed and opened. The expectation is that the building will be self-sufficient and that rentals from the building will be used for the purposes of operating the building, much like it's done at Tashua Knolls Golf Course. We'll set fees for the rental of the building, but Dan was prudent enough a year or two ago to recognize that we wouldn't have any funds to do that when we began when we opened the building. So he's begun to put together a pretty good fund of 208, and the expectation is he will add more to that during the course of construction.
Are those donations to the veterans, the VFW Post, or is it to the project?
Well, they were to the plaques. In other words, people bought plaques or sponsorships to put a nameplate or something up in the lobby of the building. Also sponsorships for various rooms to get a naming right on a room and so forth. But the thought was among the committee was that we needed money to operate the building again once it was open, and we didn't want to go back to the town for operating expenses.
So the answer is it's really under the control of the Post.
Dan, I think Dan Sacco may be on this. I'm sure he's on the call. If he's able to speak to this, that would be,
Yeah, Carl, this is nothing that should be a surprise to the council. We presented it a couple of times to the council where we said we wanted to raise funds from the outset to say different from what was being raised for the building from state and federal government, to say what can we do to raise some funds so that when the building opens, we don't have to come back to anybody and say, how are we going to pay this bill? And so we created programs that weren't in existence in building the building called naming rights and plaques, putting the walls of honor up for the veterans and first responders and anybody who gave donations. And so we've created programs to go do that. I'm sorry?
Chief Lombardo, I believe you're not muted.
Oh, okay. Okay. So Carl, the goal we have was to raise, my personal goal was to raise $500,000, and we've raised over $200 and something thousand, but we've donated some of that back to the building to go fund back the building. So the largest part of that is the gathering room was $100,000. We gave that money back to the team to say, go help pay for the building. And so anything we do now, my personal assumption, working with the team, working with me, was that if we have $200,000 when we open that building, we'll be able to pay the bills and get it going through Reynolds. And if we sell more naming rights, and there are a lot more naming rights to sell, and I've asked for help I talked to the Board of Finance, I'd ask you guys to help me sell the naming rights to the bunch of things that are out there, like the kitchen, the generator, there's a whole bunch of things. If we could sell those naming rights, we'll put that money against that 700,000 to reduce that 700,000 costs. We feel comfortable opening the building with 200,000 and beginning a rental program to pay it back. So I want to use the rest of that money to reduce the cost to the town.
I'm well aware of the fundraising efforts, and I appreciate that very much. I just ask you to define who we is when you say we. Is it the
the
veterans group?
VFW. Okay, the VFW has the funds in
Has the fund. Okay.
fund called the building fund, a checking account and a savings account.
Okay.
One's a money market, one's a checking account. We keep $1,000 in the checking account because that gives us free checking, and then we move anything that comes into the money market. So it's under our name right now. Yeah. And
Okay.
And the town asked us to do that in the beginning. The town
Yes, that's really what I was asking.
Yeah, the town asked us to do that.
And Carl, just so you know, we're not going to stop doing fundraising. In fact, the commitment has been among the committee to now more aggressively fundraise, because the money we hopefully will get approved tonight is going to be used on the back end of this project. We have enough money to start construction, but in order for us to go to contract with the low bidder, we have to have a commitment for the full amount of the funding. And so 300,000 of that 703,000 that we asked for is actually contingency. So things go well, we can reduce the amount that the town is actually lending to us is down to 400 and some odd thousand. But that doesn't mean we're stopping working. Like I said, there are potential donors out there who are willing to come forward and make a donation, but before they did, they want to make sure that this project was real. It's been almost 2 years since we broke ground, had the foundation and septic system installed. All of that site work, or 95% of the site work, is done. We value engineered the project with the low bidder down another $436,000 roughly. This committee, with the extraordinary help of Rena Bacalar, has raised over $5 million in state, federal money, and also private donations. And Trumbull Rotary Club has donated $50,000. The DiNardo Foundation donated $100,000. There's more money out there that we're going to go after.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Carl, I wanted to put up a toll gate. They wouldn't let me do it. To come into the parking lot. They wouldn't let me do it.
Councilman Marsh and then Councilman Satin.
Great, thanks. Hi, Ray. Hi, Mr.
Hi,
Sacco.
how you doing?
Good. Just first off, again, thank you guys, obviously, for your service, but continuing to work on the building committee. Having been on building committees before, I understand what a chore that is, and oftentimes a thankless proposition. So thank you on behalf of the council. I'm happy that Mr. Massaro made his comments, because I feel similarly. Happy that the project is going forward, disappointed that the town is being asked to contribute. I'm happy that we are able to contribute, but I think with that, I would like to see, in particular, that the seniors in our community perhaps, be given the opportunity to utilize some of that space when it's not being utilized by the Veterans Committee. And I would hope that your organization would reach out to Michelle Jacob to see if there's any opportunities to satisfy some of the continuing needs of the seniors who are, as we all know, in a building that is in dire need of renovation, and they don't have the space they need for their programmatic needs. So I'm just hoping that there's an opportunity there. And the last comment would be, I was unaware that the VFW posts of the other towns, the surrounding towns, merged with Trumbull, which I think is good for the organization overall. But if the other towns are going to be utilizing the facility, I think there should be a push for those towns to contribute to the financial cost of it.
I've gotten verbal confirmation from both Mayor Loretti and First Selectman Rooney and Monroe to make a pretty substantial contribution to the project, recognizing that their two communities are involved. And there was you had a point there in the middle, a question about the funding. Like I said, we're going to continue to fundraise for the project. But one of the reasons we had to come back, frankly, is that Jason, I believe you were on the town council when the committee was first approved, and literally was approved 2 weeks before the pandemic hit the country. So for 2 years, we had to meet remotely, and obviously fundraising and aspects of this project that would normally be able to be done in a relatively short period of time were kind of hamstrung. And then when we came out of the pandemic, and George Wiles, our architect, and Jeff Anderson can attest to this, that the cost of construction went up pretty significantly from the time this was first conceived to the time that we actually went out to bid and so forth. So yes, we did. I personally made that commitment to the council and the town that we would not be using any town money. And my hope is that we don't have to use the whole 703,000, if any at all. But again, there were circumstances that intervened that this committee had no control over.
Yeah, I completely understand what you're saying, Ray, and my comments about being disappointed aren't directed at you or the committee or Mr. Sacco. Understanding that you guys are working very hard to make this project happen, and the world just doesn't, cooperate sometimes. Still, the world hasn't cooperated with a lot of things in Trumbull, and a $710,000 ask is, worthwhile, but it still hurts to have to make that commitment. Happy to do it, but wish we didn't have to.
Well, to your other point, I just remember what you said. This is first and foremost a veteran center. Secondly, for our first responders. But the third aspect of it, this is for the Trumbull community. This is for Trumbull rentals and usage for boards, commissions. If the seniors want to use it for some activities, we'll make accommodation for them as well. But, this is a town of Trumbull project. We've made that pretty clear right from the beginning. In fact, the funding we got from the state and federal government pretty much was given to us because we had told them that we would make it available to the community at large. So yes, to your point, yeah, the seniors certainly can, have activities there.
Great. Thank you very much, Ray. I appreciate your comments.
Sorry about that, Jason. Councilman Satin?
Yeah, did Dan want to respond to Jason first there? I see Dan's hand up.
Yeah, actually, I did. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Jason, a couple of things. One is the use of the building. I believe that this is going to be the most used building in the town of Trumbull because it's going to be wide open to everybody. The veterans use it just to have their meetings on a regular basis, but I want this building to be used all the time for, I think we talked about it at the town council a few times. Any party, any business meeting, anything they may want to do. We want this to be the most used building in the town, and it should be because of where it's located and what it brings to the party. So that's first. Second, there is one group that's only in Trumbull. That's the American Legion, which is a large organization. They're only Trumbull. With the VFW, the only reason that the other towns have merged with the VFW was because we were so successful in leadership and the things that we're doing. I don't want to get deep in details, but there's a program called All American that only 5% of the 6,000 posts across the world achieve. We've done it 4 years in a row. The reason they're joining us is because we're driving that. And so we're going to bring more stuff to the party. So it's not like, okay, they're coming here for nothing. They're coming here to do something. But again, the bottom line is I think it'll be the most used building in the town. And I hope like parties, when somebody graduates college or has a program or has any kind of party going on, I think this place is the place to have the party. And we want that to happen. So that's all.
One other point to Dan, Jason, and the rest of you is that every single member of the building committee has made a substantial personal donation to the Veterans Center. I've been involved in building committees and in town activities for over 40 years, schools and the like. I've never seen a committee that stayed together as faithfully as this group has been as diligent in their participation, not only attending meetings, but also being involved in the other activities involved, and then personally committing their own funds to this project. So I think it's been embraced by the community as a whole. You don't raise the kind of money that Dan was able to do with donations and with plaques and so forth. We got pretty much an overwhelming response from people that wanted to be a part of this building. So it's been embraced, I think, very vigorously by the town.
I'm very happy to hear that. And Dan, to your point, any place that Ray Baldwin shows up is a party. So,
well, that's one of the things we're putting limits on.
I'm gonna move us along and through some more questions. Both Councilman Satin and Councilman Isaac have their hands up.
Yeah.
Yes, I do want to make clear that I am a supporter of this project. I spent many an evening at a VFW with my godfather and uncles. So those are stories for another time. But I am supportive, and there is one area that I think has been a concern of mine since the last time we met, and that's the operating budget. I've yet to see something out there that tells us, how is this ultimately going to be run once we are up and running and in there. And I want to piggyback off of Jason's comments regarding the seniors. If we were able to get them some programming in there, here and there, who would we go to? Who would that contact be? And how how is that going to be set up within the operating system? So has there been, is there a plan there? Is there pen to paper on the numbers that you're projecting? Obviously we are putting a lot of money from the town side there to help get you through this point. So I'd really like to see a little bit more when it comes to what are we expecting, once this is up and running.
Well, one of the requirements of the building committee was to do exactly what you just suggested, that there be a business plan and an operating budget. And we had a committee with Bruce Silverstone, Dan Sacco, and Steve Lemoyne, who met with George Estrada. And they did put together an operating budget and a business plan, which George Estrada was very helpful with. It's a little bit dated now because we did it, I think, a couple of years ago. It needs to be updated. But as Dan said, primarily the revenues generated from this building will be from the rentals of this building. So, in fact, Dan and I have met several times. We're meeting again with the folks from Fairfield who run the Penfield Pavilion because that building is rented out for like 2-3 years in advance. And so meeting with them, we'll tweak it a little bit. We did submit a proposal for a commission, much like the golf course, the Tashua Knolls Golf Commission, to do the actual operation of this building. And I think that will probably be the next step of this council, is to vet that proposal that we made. But yes, we've been on top of this for at least the last 1.5 to 2 years.
Yeah. Hey, let me add one thing, babe. So we did submit some preliminary budget that was called Trumbull operating budget, which we built when we thought we had the funds a couple of years ago, and we did submit it to the council and had a copy. As Ray said, it's obviously outdated now, but the numbers remain true. The line items remain true. What has to be adjusted is what the costs are, because costs have increased, and what has to be adjusted on the other side is what the rentals are, so that it all comes back in. So starting this Thursday, we're going back down to the Penn Pavilion to say, okay, let's look at things updated now, and we'll submit that. This has to run in a way that it's got profitable. When we submitted to you guys originally at the council, and some of you were there, we thought at the end of the first year that it would be running profitably and that we'd actually make money in the first year if we knew when the building was going to open, when the timing was there. At the Board of Finance, I think his name was Mr. Tinker. Mr. Tinker said, hey, I do 12 to 24 programs a year with places I want to rent the place. We've called them, said, give us the dates you want, because if this council approves it, then we know a year from now that building is up. We'll start booking out the dates.
Yeah,
So,
we've already gotten calls.
yeah,
from
we understand
people.
that completely.
Yeah, we've gotten calls from people already wanting to book this, and we keep putting them off, obviously, because we didn't have an end date in mind. But now that we do, this commission that's formed is going to have to be very aggressive in getting themselves lined up for rentals going forward.
Strictly booked time, Ray,
Sorry?
or Dan? Are we looking at strictly booked time? Or is there going to be an open door for our veterans, first responders to come and go throughout the day?
Well,
Is-
there's going to be the two commanders are going to have offices right there in the building itself. Okay, so there'll be people on site all the time. The first responders, primarily our police department, is going to be using it for training. Across the street is Indian Ledge, where they have the shooting range, and that kind of dovetails with some of their training. They'll do that in the building. At one time, that pond at Katz's Pond was used for water rescue training by the police and fire department. If at some point in the future the town gets to dredge that pond and make it serviceable again, it literally will be a site for active training by our first responders. And to use it by seniors if they have a specific program. But remember that the revenue generating portion of this has to come from rentals. So we're going to have to block out, we'll have to be very judicious as the time we block out for everybody else and make sure we have enough to maintain the cost of operating the building.
Councilman Isaac.
Yes, basically just kind of reiterating what's already been said.
But I just want to, in case people don't know, Ray has kindly sponsored the bar. So that's a spot that we know he'll do well in. But anyway, just on that, I know the 700,000 is hopefully going to be asked for at the end of the project. That's going to be the last portion to be used.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, my dog is attacking me. Please stop. And so in that way, there's 225 that you said was hopefully coming in once pen went to paper and contracts were signed. I know the goal throughout, there have been discussions on the corporate sponsorships and naming rights, and the amount kind of that had been floated around was about 900,000. So my only hope is that going forward, Dan and team has done a great job on bringing in plaques and some of the sponsorships. Rotary did a great job. But if we could have perhaps Ray and Dan coordinate with the First Selectman's office and Rena and the town council chair and kind of go on ongoing to, I know you can't do it in public, but of who you could try to hit up or speak with to kindly sponsor, donate, corporations, other organizations that may be interested. I know the police union was discussed at one point as well. But I just think if we have a formal plan, it's been discussed on and off over the years from your minutes, that would be a great start. And then other people can jump in to help, other parts of the committee, other organizations. So that would be my hope, so that we don't need the 700 and we can still bank on the generator and more in the kitchen and the AV, things like that are also still a little bit light. So that would just be my request or question.
Certainly.
Thanks, Mary. Dan?
Okay, so listen, Mary, thank you for the kind words, but I beg anybody on this call who could help us to talk to any corporation, any person, any individual. We have individuals who have donated. I'm willing to talk to anybody, any place, anytime, to talk to them about what's available and what the building will bring and how we put their name on the wall and recognize them and make it happen. So we're wide open to anybody. I'm asking for help. Up to now, all the plaques, basically the vets have gone out and done them, and the naming rights, we've done it among ourselves by pushing out. I will take any assistance, any place, and go to any meeting at any time and do anything you want to do with the presentation to explain to people what's available and what it means and what kind of impact it could have. So if you could help us, wide open. If the town can help us, we've asked if the first selectman can even, when she does one of the voice things, do something like that, but they said that's not what the voice thing is for. We've asked if any mailings can go out when you go out to the business, and they said that's not what that's for. If there's a way to communicate any of this to anybody, I am wide open, and I'll be there, and I'll do anything, and I'll do I'll do more than my share from our side. I promise you that. So I'll take any help we can get. I promise you we won't quit doing anything, but I'm asking if you could help me do it.
Thanks, Dan.
Mary, in terms of dollars and cents too, the building itself, the projects are going to be run about $5.8 million. The town's contribution in total, because you gave us 200,000 in seed money at the very beginning, will be less than $1 million, which represents a percentage, about 16% of the building is being funded by the town. And the expectation is the town is going to use this a lot. So I think if you had to justify it from your end, and I've sat in council seats and Board of Finance, you had to justify it from dollars and cents for about 16% investment, you're getting a building for the town that's going to be around for the next 50 some odd years. And it's going to be, as Dan said, one of the most used and occupied and sought after buildings in the town.
Councilman Cologne and then Councilman Wolf.
Hi, everyone. Just kind of echoing what I'm hearing, and then this is directed at our wonderful VFW members. I know that you're governed by national bylaws when you have VFW posts. Is it your intention to include in your community and individual post customization some of the language that you're describing tonight in terms of the town's usage of the facility?
I'm not quite understanding the question. Could you?
Are you gonna put in writing that Trumbull gets to use it?
Well,
By virtue of the fact that we receive grant money from the state and federal government, we have to make it available to everyone. That Rena just sent me a text. Maybe Rena can speak to it more if she's able to. I know she's on the meeting, she's on this call, but I know she may or may not want to wade in on this. But yeah, because it's state and federal money, we have to make it available in some aspects to other members of the community.
I'm here, Ray.
Okay.
Thank you for clarifying. I was hoping to make it public for all the public that's listening. Go ahead, Rena. Thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that the building, when the grant funding came through, it's for a multi-purpose building, certainly serving the veterans, as we've described, our first responders in the community. And that's a broad discussion that's in all the grant applications about how we would serve the community. And certainly the senior center use, if Michelle's group wants to use that, that falls into everything that we wrote about in the grants, civic groups, rentals for the broader community. It's all been written about, it has to be scheduled and so forth. But I think there's plenty of room to work around the meeting schedules and things like that in any kind of bar mitzvahs or other things that could happen, birthday parties or whatever within the center. So we definitely intend and have always intended the funding absolutely ties to a broader use of the center. It is
Thank you so
economic and
much.
community development funding under HUD that is part of what funded this. So under the economic and community development category of HUD, housing and urban development.
Madam Chair, can I speak, make a statement?
Hey, Chief Lombardo, sure, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I just wanted to say that I can tell you from this request was not taken lightly by the committee. There was much debate on the request. And I can tell you from my perspective, obviously the center's been envisioned as a shared space that honors our veterans and the practical needs of our first responders. And from the police standpoint, our present facility does provide a smaller area for training, but it doesn't really adequately allow for larger training groups. And I think Mr. Baldwin had mentioned it earlier that the proximity to our outdoor shooting range, and when we do the shooting range, we also do training on use of force and so forth. And I have spoken with area chiefs and I have letters from some of them that they think that this project would be a good idea for or even regional classrooms. It will allow us to hold in-town training sessions, regional courses, joint exercises with neighboring agencies in a very professional setting, but in larger for more people. Obviously that will improve our preparedness, reduces our travel time, training costs, and ultimately enhances the services to the town of Trumbull, to our community. And I think that it's equally important that the dedicated gathering place for our veterans is extremely important. It'll serve locations for them for support services, ceremonies, social events, to recognize their service and keep them connected with the community. In some of the things that I've read, it is extremely difficult for these men and women to come back to their communities and acclimate themselves back into society. And there's a tremendous amount of mental health issues with men and women who have been in very difficult situations and who have sacrificed and seen their brothers and sisters sacrifice. So it could be used for a variety of settings to help the veterans and to help the town. And I can speak from the police perspective. The committee's worked very hard to raise money, manage expenses, and just constant discussion about, well, can we cut this? Can we cut that? And how's it going to affect us? How's it going to affect the services that we bring to the facility? So, it really is a lasting asset for the town. It'll support our training, strengthening partnerships between first responders, a home for our veterans. And it's not like we're asking the building to be started. It's already there. So we just need this money to get to the finish line. So thank you to everybody.
Thank you, Chief Lombardo. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Councilman Wolf.
Hi. I just wanted just a quick comment. Because I've been part of the committee for about 5 weeks. Very humbling to be with this group because Ray, Dan, and the team completely passionate about this, and I have no doubt in my mind that this will be successful and generate revenue. Specifically because we have, other towns have now merged with our VFW. It's also an opportunity to bring in business revenue from other towns into Trumbull. So I love that aspect of it.
Thank you, Rich. And Councilman Winchell?
Yes, thank you. I have two questions, I guess. One, what are you going to do with the parking issue? Because it doesn't seem as though there's a lot of parking around that building. And two, once it turns a profit, where does that money go?
Okay, as to your first question, the allocated parking for the square footage of that building complies with the town zoning. So there's issue there. And I feel the same way you do, that I think there is going to be some parking issues, and we've explored some plans with George Estrada and others for possibly parking on Whitney Avenue, and eventually building some type of a staircase down to the Veterans Road. So that is a concern. I think there's enough parking spaces, but by code, but I think there'll be some problems, and we're gonna have to address those as they come along. I agree. What was your second question? I'm sorry.
When it turns a profit, what do you do with the money?
Well, that's a discussion.
Yeah,
That's a discussion that we are going to have with the town, with the administration, and it's going to be first and foremost, we have to set up the commission to manage this building. Our charge as a building committee is just to get this building built. This commission that's going to have to be formed, or whatever organization is going to be operating this building, is going to have discussions with the first selectman's office, with the town attorneys, and so forth. So.
Yeah,
Right,
I can answer that a little if you want. So when if I was on the council, I would say I'd like you guys to come and do a report to us annually, tell us what the bank account is. I think every dollar that comes out of profits goes into this bank account after all the expenses are paid, so that when anything comes up at that building over time, there's money in that account to go pay for it. So the building takes care of itself and builds itself and grows itself where it goes, and that's where it goes. And as far as uses that Councilman Colon asked about, listen, we want this building to be used every day. I hope there's no perception that the veterans are saying we want this building and nobody can come in here. We want this building to be used. We want the town people to come there. I want them to come and buy more wall plaques and more stuff happening. I want this to be the best place in town. I want to recognize it. Now, there's a cost involved. How do you clean it? Which is the things we have to work through. How do you get it clean? How do you make sure it's maintained and stuff? How do you get it set up? All everything has to be set up. So there's some cost involved. But I want this building to turn a profit in year one, and that money should go into an account to go pay for it. And you guys should ask us for accounting and come to your council and tell you where we're at. And I'm happy to do that, because you deserve that and we deserve that.
Again, you don't have to look very far to see the model here. The model is at Tashua Knolls. So Tashua Knolls makes a profit, and that profit is put into a capital reserve because there's things that are going to break down in the building, things they're going to want to do in the golf course, sprinkler systems, sand traps, green improvements, all the maintenance that takes place at the golf course. They set their fees in accordance to the budget that they want to have, and we expect that we will be doing the same here. So when you say turn a profit, it's going to be turned right back into the building itself, and at least initially, until we figure out what we need to operation wise, and also this building, once it's built, 3, 4, 5, 10 years from now, you're going to need roofs, you're going to need some type of maintenance on there. Where are you going to get that money from except from the capital reserve? So again, the language that was in the committee that I had given to the council probably 2 years ago, at least a year ago, I gave it to the first selectman and the town attorney, is nothing that I dreamed up. This is almost a language verbatim from the Tashua Knolls Golf Commission with some modification to reflect this center. So there's discussions that have to take place about the operating of the building for sure.
Thank you, Ray. Yep. So certainly on our list is a look at how this will operate, what type of committee or commission this will be set up to be, The town owns both the land and the building, and so this is ultimately something we need to help navigate and be responsible for. So those will be discussions for after tonight. But let's get through this motion and the approval of this $710,000 or the bond authorization. Are there any additional questions or discussion for tonight? Okay.
Madam,
Seeing-
I have just one quick question. If the vote is favorable for this funding for the Veteran Center, would it be possible to make it emergency legislation so we can sign our contract?
It's already on my list, Ray.
Okay,
Assuming
thank
we
you.
get 2/3 vote, I have it right here to ask for that as soon as this gets the first vote. Okay, so I don't see any other discussion. Is this something we can pass by unanimous consent, or do I need a roll call vote?
No objection.
No objection.
No objection.
No objection.
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 Okay. Hearing
objection.
none, this vote passes. I declare the resolution adopted, and can I ask for a motion for emergency legislation so that they can sign their contract?
So moved, Kelly Motion. Malazzi.
And a second?
Tony Dorsey.
Thank you. Can we pass
Carl, you were
that by
so
unanimous
close.
consent? Can we pass that by unanimous consent?
Slow machine, yes.
No
Yes.
objections? Wonderful, that passes as well. Thank you to everybody who joined us this evening. Ray, we will look forward to bringing you all back in the next month or so for further conversations.
That'd be great.
And
Forward to it.
we will move right into our committee meetings this evening. So if you are on those committees, feel free to hang out. Bill, we're using the same link, correct?
Thanks to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay.
thank you.
Good
thank
night.
you, Thank you, thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.